Hey, bud.
Oh boy.
Welcome back to the channel, guys. I hope you guys are doing well. If you're new to the channel, smash that subscribe. I'm trying to say that a little earlier in the videos because I just never say it. But I wasn't gonna record this. I haven't recorded much actually because I haven't been doing much but working. But this one's gonna be I'm nervous about this one. Let me show you guys what's going on. The hood on my E36 M3. If you guys don't know, you're new, subscribe, and I'm working on the E36 M3 today with an S54 swap. Oh, there she is. Bad news, boys. This horn hits right there and it stops my hood from actually going down all the way, and that is no bueno at all. So what I'm going to try and do is sand this down, and I really don't want to, but I probably should, because again, it's making contact with the hood and that is no good. Anyway, there's a few other things I also want to do. I want to trim it right here as well because it's very close to the fender well, and I kind of want to get rid of these. Yeah, I just do. I'd like to hack those off with the Dremel. So I may tackle that. There's also something over here. This guy may tackle that as well. But we'll see. I mean, I don't know. I'm not too familiar with this stuff. I know sparks will fly. I know that won't be great. So we'll see. But the biggest thing is trimming down that intake horn. And I really don't want to do it, but we'll see. I'm going to take off the strut tower bar. I'm going to take off the intake horn, and I'm going to make sure that the hood closes. I'm going to make sure that that does actually fix my issue. I mean, it clearly is hitting, but I don't know if it's actually stopping me from closing the hood like I think. I'm pretty sure it is, but we're going to find out. So taking that off, super simple. You don't need me to film that. I'll take off the bolts for the strut tower bar. Lift that up, then just disconnect or take off these 4 Allen head bolts and then pull this horn out. So I'm gonna do that now. All right, boys, so got the horn thing off, and this is the part that sits down close to the fender well, and then this is the part that's hitting the hood. So I'm gonna cut from the left, that part, the left, furthest left, to the inside right one. I had to retake that. I need to honestly almost take as much off as the tape is showing, and then this top piece I'm gonna just have to kind of play it by eye to see how much I actually have to do. I'm gonna start out slow with this. I've never done it, so I'm gonna need a respirator, some goggles, and like I said, I'm just gonna start off real slow with this because I really don't want to mess this up. They don't actually produce this piece separately, so I don't want to mess it up. All right, boys. There is the finished product. Well, not finished actually. I'm still gonna see if there's something I can put over this. I want to say if you put like a lacquer or something over this, it will make it look a lot better than just that raw. But that's how much I trimmed off of it. And now what I'm gonna do is put some tape right here, put some tape over that to see if when I shut the hood, if it still presses up against that tape. Because it's really hard to spot if it actually will. That's what I'm going to try with that. Now again, this may trigger some guys, but you know what, I'd much rather do this than have that going on. And it does go straight to the hood. The last thing I want to do is dent the hood going up, or you know, damage something more than this, maybe break those or something. So anyway, I know this may trigger some people, but we'll see how it turns out. So I'm gonna shut the hood and see how it worked. Well, I think I got it. So here, let me show you what I've done so far. So I had to trim that, but then I bought some spray-on clear, and you know, to be honest, it doesn't look. I think it picks up a little bit more on camera, the actual cut, but when it's in person, like, you really don't see it that much. Like, just staring at it, to be honest, I really don't notice it. I also, I'll call it debadged. I debadged the carbon intake as well. So now that doesn't have any of the Turner Motorsport stickers. Now all I have to do is get the struts jacked back up and install the strut tower bar. So that should be it, and then this should be good to go. Oh, real quick, I did also put some tape right on here where it was hitting before. I put some tape up there, made sure the tape was kind of flush but not indented, and shut the hood, and it doesn't hit anymore, so that's good. Because before my hood was lifted up and it was just very obvious something wasn't right. So now what I'm going to do is install the sway bar, put that back on like I said, and get going and wrap this up. She is all put back together, and yeah, like I said, I debadged it. Actually looks a lot cleaner. Still, man, just barely hitting that still bugs me. I may look into getting a different bar at some point, but for now, everything's good. Now I just need to actually go drive this thing. Oh man, it's been so long since I've been in this car. I forgot all the little quirks about it and everything. There's so much. I'm so stoked to be back in this thing. So one of the reasons it took me so long to get this car back up and running. Oh, she's moving, boys. I was getting a new CAN controller. The CAN controller that I had, look at all the dust on it. The CAN controller that I had wasn't working properly, so I didn't have AC, which this car does have AC. And there were a few other issues that the CAN controller was preventing me from doing, which led to downtime. And during that downtime, I was like, well, let's get the interior redone. So I worked on getting the interior, and then got the CAN controller back, and then the interior was still out at the shop, so I had to wait for that. And there's just been a ton of stuff that I've been doing with this, and I have to have my fiance close the garage door. So yeah, now she's back up and running. If you're new to the channel and don't know much about this build, S54 swap. I don't really notice much with the Bimmer World mounts. It doesn't feel like earth-shattering type stuff. 6-speed transmission, 364 rear end. I track this thing all the time. I miss this car. Lightweight flywheel, so it's gonna take some getting used to again. Oh, it's just such a good car. Oh, the steering rack. It has a ZHP steering rack, which is one of the best investments I've made. That thing is absolutely phenomenal. This car is just so good. It's been so long since I've driven it. I don't notice much with the Bimmer World mounts. The Bimmer World mounts really, they're definitely not too harsh by any stretch of the imagination at all. I'm not going to get on it yet because it still is a little cold, although this intersection does call for some beans. This car's so good. I miss this car. Oh, with the interior now, gosh, this thing's really getting close. A project is never really done, ever, but we're definitely getting closer with this one. To be honest, with the Turner, I don't notice much of a noise difference with the Turner Motorsport CSL style intake. I don't notice much difference with that intake in terms of noise. But again, I did have a carbon intake before this. That's the only way I've driven this car, with a carbon intake. I've had S54s in the past, and I know that the carbon intake makes a world of difference. But from cheap eBay intake to this intake, just noise-wise, I don't hear much. Still got that whistle when you put just the right amount of throttle. I mean, it is loud. I'm really shocked by these Turner Motorsport mounts. They're really not rough whatsoever. Ooh. And we got a Stang behind us. Watch out now. I think they do help when you're really getting on it. When you're actually romping on it, you can definitely feel a difference. Maybe it's just in my head. These brakes, though, I mean, S2000 brakes really don't get enough credit. Of an intake sound, and you can just hear everything a lot more than you could with that cheap carbon fiber intake. Yeah, it sounds like a proper like NA. This thing's so sick. And I am running CSL Tune as well. Before I was on Alpha N. This is now CSL. Kind of a modified CSL tune. Plus, I do have, so I'm gonna go get some Vanos work done with this probably soon. And I have a set of underdrive pulleys that I want to put on this as well. Underdrive pulleys, I need to do some dynos for you guys, because a lot of you guys are asking how the CSL tune has made a difference and how the Turner Motorsport. I'll get into it in the dyno video, because it's not a really fair comparison for the Turner Motorsport intake. But I definitely need to do some before runs. Oh man, this thing's good. Bimmer World mounts are not bad at all in terms of stiffness. They feel great. They really, really don't. There's nothing bad about them at all. Happened. I'm in some sort of limp mode. No check engine lights or anything. Something's wrong, boys. Of course. Alright, so everything looks normal. Obviously, when I got on it, basically at like 5th gear, it basically felt like I only had half throttle. Like when I would rev it, the initial like 25% of the throttle would work, and then like nothing else would really happen. So it seems like it's probably some sort of TPS. Here are the codes that just pulled up. Can, brake light, can, suction jet pump, e-box fan, and that 230, I wonder what that one is. Electronic throttle set point, actual value deviation. Well, like I said earlier, it's always something. What I'm gonna do is do some research into what those mean and go from there. That's all I really can do. Alright boys, this is filmed in the future. What you were just watching was filmed a while back. I'm just now getting to editing it, and instead of you watching or me editing the 20 minutes of rambling, not being able to figure out what the issue was with the TPS sensors, this is embarrassing. This one's really embarrassing actually, but I learned. I made a mistake and I learned. So it wasn't a TPS sensor, it wasn't anything to do with that. Here's what the issue was. Here is the throttle linkage, and these rotate, and this is part of the problem. I'm not gonna blame it on this, but part of the issue when you work on cars by yourself, you don't have someone else to help you do things. So this throttle linkage rotates, and the mistake I made was one of these worm clamps was in the way of part of the throttle linkage, so the throttle linkage would hit part of the worm clamp and stop the linkage from turning, and that made that threw all kinds of sensors, and so I replaced all the TPS sensors, the throttle pedal, everything. I dug into the can issue for a while. Like I was digging into everything, trying to figure out what this TPS sensor issue was, and it turns out I just messed up with the direction of one of the clamps. And you know what, that happens. I learned from it. It sucks that I wasted so much time on it, but I'm not gonna waste your time on it. I thought I recorded this already, but I must not have. So anyway, that was the issue. It was stupid of me. If you're new to the channel, smash that subscribe. We got a lot of stuff coming up, and actually not in this video, but the next one I'm editing, you'll see the review of this LTW style strut tower bar, because I have replaced the big guy right there, the Mason Engineering, with this LTW style strut tower bar. So, and it fits much better. It doesn't hit the intake anywhere, but it does hit the it does hit right here, but it's actually right in the middle of where the hose is, so it's soft right there. That should be completely fine. So those things happen. I spent way too much time trying to figure it out. As soon as I got Quinn out here to help me and actually press the throttle pedal, I saw what it was immediately, and literally was a face palm moment. It happens. If you're new to the channel, smash that subscribe. I hope to see you guys in the next video. Peace.